Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I am Asma Shindi, petroleum engineer graduated from American University of Ras Al Khaimah. On behalf of BioPetro, Arab Oil and Gas Academy, and SPE Egypt section, I would like to welcome all of you to the second session of our short course, Environmentally Conscious Petroleum Engineering. Today's session will be about sustained casing pressure, emissions from abandoned wells presented by a very special speaker, Professor Muhammad Rafiq Awal. Before I present our speaker, I would like to remind you if you have any questions, please drop them in the Q&A box and keep the chat box professional. Now, our speaker is Professor Muhammad Rafiq Awal. He is the author of the leading chapter titled Environmentally Conscious Petroleum Engineering in the book Environmentally Conscious Fuel Production, John Willie, 2010. Currently located in Lubbock, West Texas, and served as a professor of petroleum engineering at the American University of Ras Al Khaimah in the United Arab Emirates. So please pay attention and welcome Professor Muhammad Rafiq Awal. Professor Awal, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Miss Asma Hindi, and for the rest of the world. Good morning from Texas, West Texas, Lubbock, and Lubbock is the capital. It is like Dhahran in Saudi Arabia. It is the center of U.S. oil production, and it also has a Texas Tech University, West Texas, city of Lubbock. Some people say Lubbock, it is fine. And many people, they don't know. So I need to bring another qualifier. This is the oil capital of US. I know US is currently #1 oil producer thanks to the shale revolution, which means also fracking that we are going to talk about tomorrow, little bit today. But we are producing around 5 billion barrels of oil per day. And no wonder I'm just like I spent 19 years in Dhahran, the capital of Saudi Arabia's oil production. Really, I'm here. So with that introduction, I'll show you the crude oil that we produced at least 10 years ago. This is a paperweight I was given, and I give to many people, and it contains inside the glass or acrylic. I'll show you a drop of oil. This is West Texas Intermediate. Can you see it, Asma? So this is the West Texas Intermediate crude oil, which is a benchmark crude oil. So with that, I will now start, and I'll also want to share with my audience, respected audience, that Asma Chandi was one of my best students at the American University of Ras Al Khaimah, where I taught from 2015 to 2020. So let me begin. So I have slightly changed the title of day two's presentation. It is Sustained Casing Pressure, SCP, but the subtitle is a little different. A sustainable approach to fugitive emissions from wells, which means hydrocarbon wells, oil well, or gas well. And let us see. So it is my habit to give a disclaimer because I use lots of material available in the public domain. And so I'm grateful to them. And also in return, I say that use everything that I have presented, or you take some ideas and develop and in a shared art model so that we can sustain energy production and we can keep our energy engineering program sustained. That's important. We talked about it. With that, I'll give a little bit of recap because all these four topics are interrelated within the broader realm of our consciousness as practicing or learning engineers in the oil and gas industry. We should be conscious about the environment right from the beginning, whether the earth is warming or it is cooling, it doesn't matter. Our duty is duty. It is a part of integrity that we do our job. We keep improving the technologies, but at the same time, with at least equal attention, we make sure that we keep the environment safe and clean and beautiful. Okay. So with that in mind, I want to spend a couple of minutes on yesterday's presentation as a recapitulation, if you like. So if you remember this, fine. If not, then I will say this is what you call it, the recap of yesterday's, and uh, I'll give more information. So I call it Dr. Awal's surface control. Allow me to use my name. Surface control, subsurface casing safety valve. And I invited you uh, personally and through the quiz also, those who take the quiz. But in general, please let me know if you have found this new concept, which is an extension of the existing tubing safety valve subsurface. So this is the picture of the tubing ESD, emergency shutdown system, and it is for tubing pipe. Tubing pipe. So this is has been there, for at least for the last 50 years, you know, uh, to make sure that if something goes wrong at the which means at the wellhead, because of some accident or hurricane or tempest or sabotage, whatever, and the wellhead is blown out, so uh, there is no uncontrolled flow of oil or gas, and that's why some 500 to 1,000 feet below the ground surface, this valve, which you see in pink and blue over here, this is installed and it is controlled from the surface. That's why it is called surface control, as in this SC. And SSV stands for subsurface valve, but there should be one more S here. This is from some Mr. Jim K. Evans, oil and gas. He did a good job, but I have spelling mistake. So has he, no problem. So this is an existing system. So I said this is designed for a tubing, and tubing are casing, they're the same thing. They're all we call, there is a general terminology in the oil and gas industry. We call it oil field tubulars, OFT. It means the drilling pipe, it means the casing pipe, it means the tubing pipe. So all these are called oil field tubulars. That's a generic category, the like. And it's a matter of a drilling pipe has different purpose. So they are thicker, because of the load bearing requirements and the torsion requirement, etc. Without going into that details, so we can use this system for casing also, and casing will be slightly larger, maybe by an inch or so, or 2 inch or 5 inch or 10 inch, but casing is tube. So what is good here for tubing is also good for the casing part. And we have seen how wonderful it will be to save lives and properties and environment once a blowout happens. You know that, I know that. But once the blowout happens, there is fire and there is devastation. All we do is two things: pray, those who like to pray, and second thing, we call in for experts from America. It is India or it is Australia. Experts has to come from America or Canada, because that's where these special techniques were born by some individuals, not by academicians. There is no professor from starting to current time who developed a system that can handle this kind of super emergency situation. And why it is super? We remember Macondo, we remember Bagzan in Assam, eastern India, and of course we have those Kuwait oil fires, and in Libya and anywhere in the world from 1901 till today. But it is surprising, nobody has come up with a real engineering solution after the blowout occurs and the devastation, the dance of devil begins. there is no immediate solution. And we proposed that something is waiting for here to be used. And I call it this tubing ESD system is for tubing pipe, but it is truly a low hanging fruit. So what do we do with the low hanging fruit? This system, which I have named after my name, not to brag about it, but to remind you that this is a new idea I'm carrying forward with you so that you can take it, make it happen as a casing safety valve, both on surface and below. And you are giving the well safety engineering and autonomous safety device that the world has been waiting for the past 120 years since the beginning of oil production. Okay. And this is no bragging. This is a clean fact, as just like the sun shines like that. So that is my one line recap of day one topic. And so what you are waiting for? I'm an old man, time to go, but you grab this low hanging fruit and give the industry what they have been waiting for. And with that, let me come with this one, this a little bit more to be specific. This is really important. So allow me again. So this is the conventional system. While drilling, let's say we are drilling to the production casing string. So this will be the and production, not production, through intermediate casing. So and our target is to reach the reservoir. And once we go a little bit past the reservoir, let's say by 300 to 400 feet, then we'll run the production casing. And then the blowout preventer, which was before sitting on the intermediate casing head, now it will be sitting on top of the production casing head until we run in the completion equipment, which is the tubing strings with packers and subsurface safety valve. And ultimately, it will be hung from the tubing hanger above this production casing head. So when we want have this blowout preventer, which is supposed to take care of any eventuality like a blowout and a gas kick, but we often see it fails. So, and when it fails, then God help us. You know, the devastations are going on. And once it happens, it takes weeks or months or even a year to control the flow and stop the currents of the mad well, if you like. So here is the two-component system that I've suggested and I'm suggesting, and let us work together with it. So the first part will go on the surface. So this will be just like a ball valve. No, I have put another picture. This should go somewhere in the top. Where? And I showed just above this, the last, the current or the current casing head. It will go and sit here. So once you put this in, so you will have your own those whatever you call it, those flanges with bolts. So you just put it over there, and the BOP will go on top of that over here. So you have this first, and I want it to be this is called surface ball valve or a gate valve. It can be a gate valve also, and this is this diameter will be the same diameter. This this ID of this valve will be the same ID as the ID for the casing over there. And here is one thing that make it manually operated. We'll say, well, we have hydraulic control, electric control. Why don't we do it? Remember, we are talking about its use after the accident has started, fire and fire and fire. So don't put those fancy things. That for good times, for bad time, trust your good God-given hands. Use it to turn this wheel. Okay, you don't need a daredevil. They are putting umbrella of water on top of you as a canopy to keep you from getting scorched down by the fire or whatever. This is the first thing. So 2 is better than 1. Yesterday, someone asked a very beautiful question, and there was not much time to answer that because most of you in the Middle East will go for iftar So I had to give you a very short comment, but I'll deal with that fully on the last day and the final day, that what happened to the Macondo whale blowout. We know there was huge investigations, which is good, and the final thing was a report, some advice that there should be two sub-sea blowout preventers, not one. In case one fails, the other can work. It is fine. But we'll now, I'll also tell you, I told you, or I mentioned yesterday, that when it was going on the third day of mechanical blowout, many petroleum engineering professors, including myself in America and also South America and Canada, they were present. They were invited beforehand, uh, and of course, a month before that. So they kept that commitment. We are there in Houston, and we are taken from our hotels provided by BP, British Petroleum. No, they call it BP, to their new beautiful. It is truly marvelous, beautiful headquarter in the energy corridor of Houston. And the vice president of research, he welcomed us, gave us a talk, but he didn't talk about the Macondo blowout for whatever reasons. Fine. But when the investigation began, after 2 months, we received an email in each department of petroleum engineering that the government inquiry commission has compelled, among other things, to BP authorities to invite, to give some money, fund, to develop new ideas how to handle this kind of situation. And I gave my idea, which I have not mentioned. So I think that idea, that at that time, what is that idea? That was something I need to share with you, not today. On the last day, I'll make room for that at the beginning. And please, those of you who are attending today, so please tell others who didn't are not coming from your colleagues to attend that day. That will be something I'll be very pleased, because that is not to brag about. It is much. If you are disappointed that how come Dr. Awal is suggesting such a simple methodology, no, it is fine, because that's how we are human beings. I don't mind to be discounted about that. But when you listen to that idea, which I submitted to the Department of Petroleum Engineering, the chairman, and he forwarded that among from other ideas collected from other professors. Uh, and it never happened. We never, no, none of us from Texas Tech University received any reply officially. What happened? So what happened is God knows, down the trash or whatever. you know, the, so it is time now. Now that this reawakening has come, uh, as far as I am concerned, after the last year's, horrible, horrendous gas oil blowout. All blowouts are horrendous, uh, but that happened in Assam, my backyard. I was born there, raised there, educated there. So my heart was bleeding. So I put real extra time, and I had time thanks to COVID. I finished my job at Ras Al Khaimah, American University of Ras Al Khaimah, and to attend the graduation of my daughter, she became an MD, and then came this long period, a special period, COVID-19, in the year of 2020. But that proved to be very blissful for me, that I had time to think about it. And so let me proceed from here. The, this is the first, and this is the second part. Second system, if you remember this nice things over here, they're called the existing, top notch technology to control the tubing by shutting it down at the subsurface level, 1,000 feet below the ground level. So this is the one we want to extend for casing, and the closing device could be a flapper, like here. The flapper is open, so this tubing is open. It can allow flow from below and going up all the way. And here, and That flapper is closed because of the hydraulic pressure supplied through this line. This line had a 9/4 inch stainless steel. It goes all the way to surface and to a pressurization system you have seen in the previous cartoon. And when the something happens on top, or you want to stop it yourself, just beat this pressure and this flapper will close. And instead of flapper, you can use a ball valve. I believe the ball valve it has a better repeatability and survival uh, uh, potential under that hostile environment of oil and gas and high temperature. So, but it has got to be hydraulically operated. So again, before I leave the slide, I emphasize that don't bring this idea hydraulic control over here. Hydraulic looks hi-fi, high-tech, good, but not for here, not for here. And I have explained. So let me go forward. What happened? Yeah. So now we are continuing our journey, and today is day two. And day one was what we have just recapped. Day two is today. Sustained casing pressure, and what we want to present today, find out a sustainable approach to fugitive emissions from wells. Now, the sustained casing pressure means casing annulus has a valve at the top. So if there is gas coming in the casing annulus because of faulty cement, then it will develop a pressure, and that is called sustained casing pressure. And the practice is some operator goes to the well and bleeds that to keep the casing safe from the increasing pressure. But I believe the greater emphasis should be not to protect the casing. Yes, we need to protect it, that is our business, but to protect the environment. We'll see how much gas goes to the atmosphere, and that gas is methane, not CO2. And methane is much baddest. It is one of the baddest of the gases, more than CO2, 40 to 70 times. We'll see that. And of course, tomorrow will be this fracking and acidizing. Again, this is connected. Why we need fracking? Because of some thing we'll discuss over here. And ultimately, we'll put everything together to rebrand petroleum engineering. Because when people hear petroleum engineering, they say, "Oh, you are the fracking guy. You are ruining the environment. You are," and of course, they hear all the new CO2 from combustions. So we don't want to carry that name and explain that we are not guilty, but to prove that we can convert hydrogen to hydrogen ultimately in the reservoir. In between, we have the transition path to catch up with carbon capture and sequestration, and all those things. But ultimately, I believe there is technology, there is enough science available for the last 50 years. If you put them together, and that's why I'm sharing with you, then we can really convert hydrocarbon to hydrogen, not only at the surface, which is many people are doing that, but in the reservoir. So now, what is methane emission harmful? I mentioned that, and here is the information you did. So I'll go quickly. So the next question is, these fugitive emissions, definitely from the oil wells, that's what we mean. We picked up, that is our business. We are not talking about methane emissions from the cow dung or the droppings of animals. That is not our business. So we are petroleum engineers or mining engineers or whatever. So we ask ourselves, from which part of the industry this gas is being leaked or released in the atmosphere? Answer is Mr. Well. So it is not Mr. Jackson Well or Mr. John Well. No, it is this well. Now, this is not my drawing. This is from a journal paper. Okay, I think I put some link somewhere over here. So you'll find it when you click it. Science paper. It is yes, a scientific journal paper. So it has identified 7 different problems with the current best practice. Why we say best practice? which is we have to put casing and we have to put cement behind. The mother of the cement is called Portland cement, but the American Petroleum Institute, through decades research of scientists, they have advanced for the formulation by adding so many ingredients for different depth, different environment that the cement will encounter. No, we call it API class cement, ABC, up to G, sorry. But that's very tremendous good work. Now the question is how good it is underground behind the casing over time. And these kind of problems come over here. So the net takeaway from here that they are not holding their fluids they are supposed to hold from flowing through behind the casing, which is the cement and the formation. They're not doing the job because they are not good. Portland cement and whatever you ingredients you put, you know. So what we see on the surface, the same Portland cement is used for buildings, bridges. They're good. We are not complaining. But remember, they are good because of maintenance. Otherwise, the bridges will collapse, buildings will collapse. You know that. But this downhole cement, when they go alone and they don't get maintenance. The only maintenance they get from the oil companies, the operators, is casing protection against corrosion by what is called your, those kind of, you know, with a battery system or whatever, or sacrificial anode. Okay, so only for certain time. And when the oil or gas production is not commercial, they stop everything. Just like putting the ventilator and cutting the ventilators. And the cement, there is no support for the cement. So they have only one way to go, die. And not only that, 10 years or neither right from the beginning, we start putting so much pressure inside the casing. Why? To create fractures in the reservoirs. And who takes those pressures? 20,000 psi inside this casing. It goes on the cement. Is the cement strong enough? 20,000 psi, how much it is? Unbelievable. And this poor guy, already it has lost its prime of life. It's old. It has been eaten by so many things. So it cracks, breaks down. Now there will be some big mouth, and I mean big mouth, I'll show you. That's no, we put cement perfect. That's a big lie, intellectual dishonesty, or at least, willful ignorance. Well, that's not acceptable. They are horrible. Okay, I tell you. And they say, show us the proof. We'll do the proof. Suppose they give you $1 million to pull out the casing and look at the cement. When you pull out the casing, the cement has to be broken anyway. So it doesn't take you anywhere. All you need is scientific mind and scientific knowledge. Okay? And we will see these problems. And these problems are there, actually much more than that. So now this gas leakage, the methane or whatever, methane is the predominant natural gas component, there is ethane also, but mainly it is from 70 to 96%, 98%, it is methane. So we'll talk about methane, leak flow. So it comes around this and comes out to the surface ultimately. So we call it casing vent flow. So now there is another flow of the same, from the same source, same reservoir, called gas migration. And what it is, that this is your source, the production zone, oil is there, and there will be dissolved gas, or if it is gas is everywhere, no problem. So if the cement has problem, it will not only go up, because at the surface it is not open, casing is closed, it is a valve, so the pressure builds up. When the pressure builds up, you are worried that it may destroy your tubing or do harm to your casing itself. But that pressure also help drive this through the this part over here, okay? And it goes to the, and this is porous media, so it goes out. Of course, these are from some field measurements around the wellbore. They find that gas migration is around 10%, but most of it is 90%. Why? Because from time to time they open it. I myself opened in Bombay High offshore, and the gas, certain amount of gas comes out. And but that was 1983, 85, and those are conventional, and those wells were not fractured, so we didn't damage the cement. Still, because of the microchanneling and also the debonding or imperfect placement of those cement while cementing, uh, but with hydraulic fracturing, you are the first thing you do, you destroy your cement with 1,000 psi. But they pay money to some even petroleum engineers, they call consultant or whatever, or professors, God knows. And there's no, they put perfect, everything is perfect, everything is perfect. We are not criminal, blah, 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 blah. So let us look at the fact. So how much gas comes out? Now here is some statistics in beautiful colors. I'll show you. All this color has a meaning. Who emits methane in the atmosphere? So we'll see the number one culprit is onshore petroleum and natural gas production. Onshore. This is the 117 million metric tons of CO2 equivalent. Means methane, remember, methane is 40 times to 70 times more harmful than CO2. So they express the methane in terms of CO2 equivalent, okay? And that is about some percentage. It is not shown, but it will show over here. I'll show, yeah, 35%. And this is about US, and this is data in 2019, and this is from US government source, US Energy Administration. But it's a very credible information. But all those numbers, since they come from, so it is the minimum. It could be more than that. So I'll bring out a table over here. So onshore production gives in US 2019, 117 million ton, which is 35%. And then comes next is 92.5% gathering and boosting. What is gathering and boosting? And offshore is very less, 7.3. Why? Because offshore, the capital expenditure is so high, and they have to get that money back over the next 20 years or 30 years. So they put the best casing, best pipe, and everything, and best cementing practice, whatever. So that's why. And on the surface, there are at least 10,000 companies. The biggest company is maybe, let's say, ConocoPhillips or Chevron or Oxy in America. Okay, I was an employee of research and staff R&D engineer in ConocoPhillips 2013 to 2000 end of 15. So they are good. So that practice is good, but the most of them are, let's say, 9,000, 500 are small companies. So they have to cut the corner to make a business. And the smallest company is called mom and dad company. Means father, mother, and the technician. So they cut corners, and that's why the onshore production, the emissions is so horrible. Okay, and this offshore, the credit goes to big oil companies. They take care, but then comes gathering and boosting. In the surface, the gas wells, you have to send through pipelines, and then you have to send to the trunk line. You have to pressurize through a compressor plant. Okay, they share it, but imagine how much they put it. 57.5, million metric tons, which is around, I think this is over here, 27%. All right. So if you keep on counting, you will see then, of course, it goes to end users, so many. So I wanted to identify which part is the business of oil and gas companies, big oil companies, medium, and small in US. So up to here, onshore production, all the way to underground natural gas storage. And These things are other business. So if we add this up and see how much million metric ton comes in 1 year, and then we come back to United Nations, these things, the protocols or the Paris Convention. If CO2 is captured and sequestered at $40 million per ton, per metric ton, how much US oil and gas companies have to spend? Okay, so this is simple. 40 multiplied by, add this up, you'll get a number. Okay, it's a huge number. Now you ask me why I am showing this. Is it not a primitive information sort of thing, and a primitive idea? No. Those of you, or most of you, know more than what I do, that after the US, we're talking about US, okay, the number one polluter in the world in terms of greenhouse gas emissions. This I'm not blaming, this is a fact. So the government has now endorsed the Paris Convention, and we have really wake up call, cut down your CO2 emissions, methane emissions, CO2 emissions, okay? And it is not just request, please do it. No, before it was, that's it. Now do it or else. Do you know what is else? We'll stop your pipelines, investments. So there is instructions all over that any companies, they want to create new infrastructure in oil and gas, they'll need money from bank. Bank says, we also need to show our carbon emission in a control. So if we give you money, your crime comes on our shoulder. So like this. So ExxonMobil, the largest oil company in this country and 17th largest or maybe 15th largest in the world, has announced it will spend $100 billion over the next 5 or so years. What it will do? It will capture carbon dioxide from its facilities or from the atmosphere or whatever, and it will send down in deep formation, far deeper than oil and gas reservoirs, for sequestration. $100 billion. So I want you to compare this number with that number, 100 billion, okay? And that's a quiz. So I found here already for this case, $5 billion. So $5 billion, that is in 1 year, 2019. So 5 years will be 25. But Exxon has put $100 billion. Of course, as the news goes, it is not going to this company put all the $100 billion from its pocket. It will get some handout, some portion from the federal government. I know that is the economy stimulus package or whatever you call it. You wonder why so much? For the whole country needs $25 billion to capture and sequester CO2 for 5 years, 100. So I don't know. You keep your guess. So I mean, honest guess, not a conspiracy theory. I don't like that. Okay, maybe they'll rent the facility they have. Oh, we have surplus capacity. You have a CO2, put in over here, and the bill is $40 per ton plus our profit margin, whatever. So it will be just like making money by refining. Do you know the refining? They are not very rich. They make a small margin. But since the sale is volume, that's how they make money. But per gallon is very less. That's why in the US, when you go to a gas station, you see the oil gas price, $2, then 20 cents, then another 0.9, fourth place of the decimal, okay? But because we buy so much gasoline in America, highest consumer in the world, that's why they can survive from that small margin, but big sale, okay? Now my question is, that previous picture you have seen, the casing venting, they show only the production casing. My question is there, we petroleum engineers, we know there are many cases. This is the production casing, the blue one. Then we have the intermediate casing, there will be there, and ultimately surface casing and conductor. Don't you think there will be something coming, venting from here, or migration from here, or migration from here, or migration from here? So that is my question, and I want your feedback. And that feedback will come in the quiz. Or if you don't take quiz, of course, if you're a professional, why you should take a quiz? You don't need that. I have given my email at the first slide. Please let me know. Now, I come to some more business that something happened here. This I have shown. This is the ExxonMobil Ohio Unconventional Gas Oil ad. Okay, there was all these films, one well here, and one well here. Why they're so close? Because nowadays, to cut cost of shale drilling and completing and fracking and to cut the cost, because the oil price, it went down in 2014 from $100 to maybe $39 per barrel. So this is a survival techniques, mother of invention. So to cut the cost, to beat the low price, they drill, they call it drilling pad from one drilling site, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they drill directional wells. You don't have to go far. So one rig will be there, and they call it a walking rig. So the walking rig, it will drill one here, put the casing, and by the time the casing needs some time to set cement, it will move here, okay, and then it will come back, and it will go over here like this. It's just like one dentist and 20 patients in the dentist shop. So dentist will take all of them, maybe 5 of them in 5 chambers, okay, and somebody needs a cleaning, somebody needs a pulling. So he'll do one by one, and in between, he'll say, the doctor will say, just wait for a few minutes, I'm coming, okay? Like that. So it is happening. This one is giving gas, and this one is fire. This one is fire, and they're trying to put the fire. So there was inquiry, in this country, that is called the frac trackers, and they find out the reports. So Exxon said, no, it was not a blowout, it was an accident. Okay. And then, and I believe that this is like an accident. Okay. This is like an accident. Okay. But that they say that report, and I don't suspect the report. They said that something fell down on this other well and blowout happens, something like that. So why this is a new well? Why this will do? Because after putting the casing, they'll do frac here, frac here, frac here, frac here. So during that fracking, and this is Marcellus near Newark, okay? So the massive hydraulic fracturing, 20,000, 30,000 pound per square inch pressure. I'll show you what it can do. And I believe I'm qualified. I have served 16 years as a geomechanics engineer, rock mechanics, and as a professor of drilling engineering. And I have done well completion in field, Bombay High, 1.5 years. So I know every nut and bolt from top to bottom, and I have the subject matter expertise. So with that, what I suspect, this is cement failure. This is cement failure because of massive hydraulic fracturing. Gas started coming, and one gas starts coming, fire can come from anywhere. That's not a blow up. That's why this fire, this flame is smaller over here. But while trying to putting out, they brought some machinery, it fell down on the other well and blew the wellhead. And if the wellhead is blown out, then what are you going to expect? A blowout. It's a gas well, shale gas, okay? Marcellus in Ohio, okay, huge reservoir. So this is a blowout. Fortunately, firefighters were there, so there is no fire over there. So this is blowout. And these are the proof of the pudding that the cement failure is much worse, during in the shale fracking because of high fracking pressure, which the cement is not good to take. So now here is, there are many reports, but I have selected a very credible source. Why credible? This is USGS, United States Geological Survey. Okay, it is a federal organization. All right, I have some experience. Don't want to bring here. They answer the question: can hydraulic fracturing impact the quality of groundwater or surface water? By the way, this hydraulic fracturing here doesn't mean the conventional hydraulic fracturing. It means the shale gas or shale oil, the shale hydraulic fracturing, which has to apply much higher pressure to break down and for a longer time. And they have given an answer. So I have made this answer a little bigger for you to read. It says this is the same thing over here, but I just copied and pasted. Conducted properly, hydraulic fracturing or fracking, as people say, has little possibility of contaminating water supplies. Water supplies means the groundwater. In Texas, we drill a well, water well, around 200 feet below. There's a huge aquifer. It starts from Montana north, thousands of miles, natural water reservoir. During those, millions of years, 30 to 50 million years ago, there was huge rainfall, and it went down, and it formed a super giant aquifer. It supplies water to several states in America, from Montana, 1,000 miles from here, all the way to New Mexico, Arizona, and Texas, and it is a name, Ugalala. Ugalala. It sounds like Zulu. It's not Zulu. It is, I think, either a Mexican words or of the original people who lived here, or the Red Indians, American original Ugalala. So they also knew about it, and so it's so this is the answer. They are giving a click that if conducted properly, that means if you drill properly, if you put the cement properly, there should not be any concern for this, cement behind the casing flow. That's, of course, what I said here. This is either willful ignorance, geologists, or intellectual dishonesty. We should call a spade a spade. Being geologists, and we are here geomechanics engineers, and we know that this cannot be true. Either they don't want to know because somebody said, please give me a statement, because people are complaining about fracking, and there are lots of cases that wherever they go for shale fracking, people complain about the surface water contamination, but mainly groundwater. They deal well, and they smell methane and other bad smell and H2S. And of course, the company, so all companies will try to say, oh, no. So this is the usual game. So be careful. And now I take you one fine place, again, in the north side of America, near Ohio or somewhere, okay, where we have the Marcellus Shale. Everything looks perfectly green, beautiful. And they say, we put casing pipe, we put cement, and this is thousands of feet below. There is absolutely no chance for anything go wrong. And those who complain about groundwater, they are maybe they are fabricating, like this. But that's again a lie, because this is a statement. It is not my statement. This is from a credible source published. Researchers postulate. Why they postulate? Based on knowledge of rock mechanics, strength of materials. Okay, that leakage problems are more likely to happen in unconventional wells, in shale, which are hydraulically fractured, than in conventional wells. Okay, as I told you, in 1983, we used to open those casing. It was our duty from time to time, once a week, check if there is something wrong. No, all it is, we find. Just open the casing valve, just like it is parting, and finish. So it's a good job. So whatever has come, it's no danger. But now, so question is why? So I have tried to give that. So this is 10,000 feet long and 10,000 feet long casing and cementing. They say, no, that is not the case. I'll tell you. So you did this part yourself, and I will show you what I have written here. So this is, let's say, 10,000 feet deep well somewhere underground. So this is the horizontal well is deviating. It becomes horizontal, and they frac in stages: stage one, stage two, stage three, up to 150 stages, about 10,000 feet long horizontal well. And every stage they have to frac at around 20,000 psi or 30,000 psi and keep pumping, boom, 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 boom. And all the casing, it goes, the fluid goes to the surface. Everywhere the cement behind is under that tremendous jackhammering action, compression, decompression, compression, decompression. Allah, this is, it is devastating. So I'm bringing now what is below that. Below, now do you know what is this shell? Shell is we call it cap rock. It's impermeable. That's why it has been there for millions of years, okay? Stopping the migration of fluids from below, about this, okay? Now, when there's these fractures go up, fractures go down, fracture go to this side. So imagine if the fracture goes like this. The fracture could be 100 feet long, 200 feet, 500 feet, 1,000 feet long. Imagine this fracture coming over here. So now there are fluids here, in the porous media with sulfur, with heavy metals and whatever, plus hydrocarbon or whatever. And so all these things will now, they could not come out before. They were locked down hole like Aladdin. Aladdin was sleeping inside that, lamp, fine. But the moment you rub it, it gets hot, it comes out as smoke. It says, I'll kill you. Now that is killing us. All those things, so now they are released, and they say, wow, come, there's a highway. All these casings are as much shattered as this rock over here. This cement is not hard enough, it's not strong. We call it fractures because of tensile failure. Those who know rock mechanics, they know what is compressive failure against compressive strength and what is tensile failure against tensile strength. Rocks, concrete are very weak in terms of tensile strength. Concrete bridge or building have 10 times higher in compressive strength. That's what they can take the vertical load. But when it comes to tension, they're very weak, 110 to 112. So this shell has maybe tensile strength, how much? Maybe 1,000 psi, pound per square inch. That's why it is easy to frac them. And you want to frac them long enough, that's why you need 20,000 psi. The cement are weaker than the shell. I missed that in my rock mechanics lab, which I established in the Department of Petroleum Engineering, Texas Tech University, which I established first time at the Research Institute of King Fahd University in 1995. And then we, with money from Saudi Aramco, to do rock mechanics, geomagnetic research for them. And then Saudi Aramco has its massive advanced research center. They have sophisticated rock mechanics lab. But we started those things from King Fahd University. And I was the first one. I take credit. I freshly minted PhD from University of Oklahoma, where I spent last 6 months after finishing my research in rock mechanics lab. It was a huge center. They used to call it Halliburton Center of Excellence in Rock Mechanics. I worked there as they had these rock mechanics test frames and the pressure multipliers. They are servo controlled, that means computer controlled. So they gave me a task of writing the codes in MTS Basic. So I learned a lot. And when I went to Saudi Arabia and joined as a research engineer and within bracket assistant professor, at the research institute, which is a huge one, famous one. I learned a lot there. So there came a new problem, sand production in some of the Central Arabian oil field of Saudi Aramco sandstone. So we started doing rock mechanics research from that time. Okay. So I think I needed to keep this as my background as a subject matter expert. And by the way, I was hired on invitation by ConocoPhillips to set up a rock mechanics lab for fracture conductivity. I was invited. I didn't apply. And they gave me 300% salary that I was drawing from Texas Tech. And I had a need. My daughter had to go to medical college, and they called me over phone. And I said, it sounds good to me. And I resigned from Texas Tech and I joined. That was a very good time. And then came the 2014 oil price crashing down to 39. So they shut down the R&D lab. Of course, that's the first thing they do. There's nothing wrong with that. And my life ended there. So let us continue with this. Now, so the question here, the learning per takeaway from so far, I wish I could give a break to you. If you want, I can give you, but I have no control. So the takeaway from here, that casing is not enough. Casing, because of the cement behind it, it's not enough. There's huge emissions, and I have shown you real statistics from government. Actual number is much more than that, and there are some links over there. If you hover your mouse on those slides, you'll see the links. Okay, so we have to conclude that this cement, Portland cement, and its advanced form, customized for oil well, different environments, even those are not. I mean, for until the massive hydraulic fracturing, they were doing good job. Okay, but when this unconventional came and fracking came, we know all the praise for horizontal drilling and on putting hydraulic fractures there, but we don't talk about the bad things. That is not fair. It is this in the scientific community, always they look for pros and cons, the merits and demerits, the good things and the bad things. Why? So that we can do further research and remove the bad things. And now here we see the cement, we cannot do anything other than replacing that cement with some other advanced material, some kind of polymer, and those things are there. Plus, cement is not enough. Two is better than one to protect the defense, and three is even far better. So here comes the question of metal to metal seal. Now, metal to metal seal, I'll show you exactly, and then I have put carbon fiber composite. Why? Because this is new, hardly 5 years old, not in America. It originated from Western Europe, from in Germany and Norway and England, because of their North Sea operations. And they're the driver of this climate convention, all this Paris Convention. They are extremely concerned for whatever reasons. It is good reason, in my opinion. And they are tight on themselves, and they want the world to follow, which is good. Okay, so they developed this one, but I put my basic 2 cents in science. I found it looks much better, promising, but there is a problem. I'll show you, and with this respect to those companies, but you'll decide whether my concern is legitimate or not. And then I thought I need to go beyond that. So I did literature survey. I came with carbon fiber composite for two reasons. Number one, to improve these things over here, stop the casing venting or gas migration number. Okay. And second purpose, number two, I talked about hydrogen. Remember, that is our ultimate goal. Then the hydrogen has to come through the pipes from underground and through surface distribution lines. And we have a big problem there. I'll just tell you today, right now, what it's called. It's called hydrogen being the smallest, lightest, smallest, only it's like a proton. one proton, one electron, smaller size. So it can escape through the metal lattices. Metal actually, but is under microscope and electron microscope. You'll see their crystals. Okay, they're small pores. Okay, probably that is too small for a methane molecule to enter. But hydrogen is so small it can enter and go. Okay, and wherever it cannot go, it builds up and creates a bulge. Okay, so basically it makes the steel destroyable easily. All right, so it is called hydrogen embrittlement, and when it is aided by corrosion, then we call it corrosion stress. Stress corrosion is there. There are so many things, but hydrogen embrittlement is a big challenge. Unless we found a material and make a pipe out of that, and the pipe will replace the steel pipes which we use, we cannot think of hydrogen economy. It will be difficult on a large scale. Okay, so that dual objective helped me find out something, and I'll show you. So I mentioned that cement has to be replaced by something, and it has been there from let's say from 2000. Geopolymer from France. I'll show over there. So the API class of Portland cement is very inadequate. It's been there since late 1800s, but because we didn't frack at that time, which is good. But we started fracking the wells from 1947. Even it is not that bad, but after 2000, thanks to the brand new fracking technology invented by a tall, old petroleum engineer, Robert Mitchell, may God bless him. He is now not around us. The world has embarked on massive hydraulic fracturing to frack the unthinkable, cap rock, which is shale, to find every amount of gas. It has no permeability, so we break down in a demonic manner, okay, to bring out, and that high pressure creates problem. So we need to go about geopolymer. This is I'm presenting to you. So now I look at this diagram. So I know my students are there, and all books showcasing with a shoe, as if they put a shoe over there, okay, and that look like a shoe. No, it is not like a shoe. It is like it is like a stepper down, but this creates a mental block. So to remove that, I say put that cement over there. This is the cement. This is the Portland cement. So you don't see that thing, okay? And that is fine. So I see now. Now, as you go deeper, the importance of cement also increases. So of course, from top to all the way bottom, we need to put now this kind of new, far better than this. It's not I'm saying far better. People have started from the last 20 years, and some people are using it. But as you know, the rule of thumb, Mr. Thumb, is that any new idea through research and demonstration to become a main practice, it takes around 10 to 20 years in the oil industry. Okay, but now we are lucky that there's pressure from the government because of Paris Agreement. It will be faster, hopefully. Okay, so this is the best chopper, but this is not the best for all time. Don't wait for another 100 years to think about. Keep doing research and to replace it. A little bit of a story about geopolymer. This is the inventor of geopolymer. He's a chemical engineer professor, Davidovich, in France. Now he's become world famous. You'll read this, and you'll also read this that he has shown that the pyramids are not rock blocks cut from some mountains and then hauled. So it is on site, and he's making it himself in his research institute. It is called the Geopolymer Institute. It is now world famous. You can go and see, make it yourself. And let's come back to our industry, oil and gas industry. The classic Portland cement versus geopolymer. Here is the verdict. Already it is proven. But we are slow to move. So now I move to the other one, metal to metal. There are two concepts now. One is called type 1 thermite seal, and the other one, I'll first show what it is. So thermite seal means what? You take a mixture of rust, basically hematite, rust, I'll show you the diagram, ferric oxide, and aluminum powder, and mix them together at certain ratios and provide some source of heat because this is exothermic reactions, but it needs a starter, and then it will catch up the reaction. Extremely high temperature will be produced, and that will be around 1500 degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit, I'm not sure, but to melt it. So this ferrous that will come out from reaction, iron, this is iron, right? It is iron, and it's in the molten state, and this is aluminum oxide. Aluminum was metallic powder. It takes the oxygen from here, and this is a massive amount of it. So this is the simple technique. They call it Goldschmidt, and this is, I think, 1825. All reactions they use in railroads. Those rails, to make connections between two rails, they use same thing. And you'll see lots of YouTube video on that. There is another oxide, but same thing ultimately. So this is the one. So this is the one, but it's so high temperature that they did some experiment. It melts the steel also. So this is good when you want to close the well bore permanently. Means we call it plug and abandonment. We put cement plugs before abandoning a non-economic well. So, but that cement is cement, so they say, put this one, steel everywhere. It will make put enough so that it goes even inside the rock. All right. So that is called thermite seal. And then type 2 is bismuth. Bismuth is a metal. If you click here, I'll not do that because yesterday I received complaint, the bandwidth doesn't permit. Similarly, I have over here, you'll see everything, So this is a metal. It is slightly heavier than iron, but when it's molten state, it is as viscous as water. So it can be poured easily, especially in the annulus. And it takes melting point is very small, around 500, 271 degrees Celsius. You see? So not much. So what you can do, same thing. You can, if you click here, you will see the whole process video. It will show similar to this. It can create a solid smooth plug. And one benefit is when it solidifies, instead of shrinking, it expands. So if you want to use it as seal, instead of a cement, Portland cement plug inside the casing or your production tubing at abandonment, this is your best bet. Of course, the reservoir at the depth at where you intend to put this bismuth plug for permanent sealing, you can the temperature should not be more than I guess 200 degrees Celsius. Okay, but the other benefit is, suppose after some time some geologist come and tell from your company, oh no, I think this oil saturation is still high enough. If you do some fracking job or whatever, it will produce again, become commercial. Then you just put a electric heater to melt it, okay? And that's it, whatever. So that's not my purpose here. And this is called plug and abandonment. Now, how about those seals I have shown you that in between the casing, we have the cement behind casing for a seal, so that there is no migration of fluids behind the casing. So you can also put this over there, and not you. There's a company BISN. There's another company Interwell. There is another company called Raw Water. These are the new companies, all around 5 years or 10 years old. They are doing, and they are trying to attract people with this knowledge, which is very attractive. I like this, that this should come. But then they claim that this will last for 3,000 years, especially this company, 3,000 years. By some companies, some private companies, they do some kind of experiments and they certify, that 3,000 years. I said, wow, 3,000 years? But nobody will be remaining to verify it. and sue the company. Excuse me for being cynical. No, because there is some science question behind me, which I want to share with you now. That brings this question. It will be very dirty question for those BSN or this company or that company because they have just started business, okay, and I'm trying to puncture it. No, it is we care for the environment. That's why it cannot be long lasting than the cement, I guess, because of one simple reason, and I'll show you. First of all, before I show you, I'll show you where I want this metal seal, M2M, metal to metal seal. Let us take bismuth, which is good. You will love that video as I liked. And let's go ahead with that since 2019. See, only 2 years old. Metal to metal seal technology has been field tested. And you'll on that website, last page, last slide, you'll click, you'll give, and I verified some of them has come in offshore technology and even in JPT, they have put those and they have presented in SP conferences. Like there is perfectly well, thumbs up. But you see, when you come back home, you said, oh, there is a question. So I'll bring that question. And before I go there, I show you how to put the seals. Where we have, let's say, geopolymer, but there should be some seals over here. Okay, let's say between this casing and this casing, while we run in the casing and that we put the cementing at the same time we should put the seal. This seal is called bismuth seal, and this is that is during well construction. Okay, and we get excited. Put here also. 2 is better than 1. We have cement, but now this will be as good as 1983 when I used to open the casing valve. Finish, safe, go. Do here also. Do here also. This is my production casing all the way, and then go put here also. Now comes the plug and abandon. See, plug and abandon. I have put a little bit of animation to make it clear. Now we need to put some plug here or here or here. So I'll put here at the bottom. This is the one. Again from bismuth. Suppose the temperature is here, not more than 200 degrees. Then it is good. If it is higher temperature, of course, bismuth melting point is 271 degrees Celsius. It will not be good. So I'll put over here. And again, 2 is better than 1. 3 is even much better, right? So this is common sense, all right? And this is not expensive. How much expensive it will be? Now, good. The pros. Now, about how about the cons? Both type of seals are technology ready. Yes, they have tested in America also and many other places. But you can improve both types of seal with geopolymer and MPM. Before asking that question, to never be settled for another 100 years. Why? We have so much research has been done. They are waiting to be picked up like low-hanging fruit everywhere. You come and pick them, and nothing should last here more than 5 years. Let this company make some money and whatever they have invested. Now we bring a new technology. Okay. Now geopolymer and metal to metal, metal to metal. I'm sorry, I'm going fast. Metal to metal with bismuth or with that iron, thermite. But find out something better. You can find. I can guarantee you. Now I ask the question, which I have been hinting. You must be getting, a little bit bored. He's not telling us. He's not telling us. Now allow me. Now let us see what science says about longevity of bismuth and iron seals. Both are obtained from nature in their oxide forms, ferric oxide, okay, or ferrous oxide, or bismuth oxide. So in the harsh environment that we have downhole, there is no air conditioning, there is no cathodic protection. So iron, bismuth or bismuth, and the iron seals will soon get back to their native state, oxidized. So this iron came from this, it will go back. This is rust. And this is also rust, black rust, and bismuth oxide. I'll show you. So this is rust. This is ferrous oxide. And this is ferric oxide, the black one. Okay. And how about the bismuth? This is bismuth oxide. This is a host rock, and this yellow part is bismuth powdered. So how long it takes to pour a piece of iron, not steel, not stainless steel, iron to get rust? How long? You take an iron nail or even a steel nail, not stainless steel, put in lemon juice, and after 1 week, take it out in an empty, okay, and you'll see how much rust is there. And how about this bismuth? Bismuth have not done an experiment. Suppose 5 years. So it cannot be more than that time. And they claim 3,000 years. So we are bringing science to contest them, and we should, because our purpose is to do a clean job and good job and ensure a sustainable environment. This is obligation on us, not because of Paris Convention. We should have done much before. Past is past. But from now on, since we have so much of technology, so much of science around us, and we are living this world, me, maybe a couple of years, you, but who will survive? Our sons and daughters and their children, which will be my grandchildren. Now, all people, they love their grandchildren more than their sons and daughters. We know that every culture, east to west, north to south, grandchildren are so much adorable. So leave something good for them. At least I want my grandchildren to know that their grandfather, this guy, left something, tried to do something through that book chapter, through his invention in the same year, which will be the meat, or a main course. I should not say meat because many people, they don't eat meat. I respect that. It is all your choice, as good as mine. And so the best food, the main course tomorrow, and the after tomorrow a little also. So they should know this, and they'll know that I didn't do it to get money, earn money. So that brings this to awareness, scientific awareness, that iron will go to iron oxide, rust, bismuth oxide, and their powder form. So that brings the question: what is the next big idea? This question is to me to begin with, and this question is to you, all of you. You should get intrigued. Wow, there's lots of work to do, invent, and bring to a technology, and have a career. That's why I'm saying from the very beginning, don't get scared by this. If we had done our jobs from before, all these things would have been in use today. And they're saying that they'll stop oil companies and this and that, maybe. But you will not. You will survive. World needs energy. And most of the energy will come from fossil fuel. That's how nature has kept us. But nature didn't tell us that burn it and produce CO2 and make everyone coughing and sweating. Okay? So, and we know also the know-how, how to get the energy from these fossil fuels without burning it and creating these problems. But now let us get rid of metals. And the answer is, can you guess something? This is something? Yeah, composite. Now, this is a company, this is called Magma Global in England, I guess. They have produced pipes. Now, these pipes are not, this is just a sample to show you and us. If you click the website, they call it Carbon Fiber Composites for Oil and Gas Industry, Composite Pipe. Why now? Because of the awareness. It's from Europe. They're ahead of us. Many people in America in the scientific community, but in the business, oil and gas, we are following them, and we should follow. Not only follow, we'll become the leader. By activating ourselves up. The process has begun. So there is some answers to that question, but the main reason is increasing industry challenge because of both oil price that we have to keep going, and then comes this corrosion, fatigue, weight of these long pipelines, the casing or tubing or whatever. You need huge rig, everything. So imagine you are using this pipe, which is very light, but as strong as steel, and you use it as a drill pipe or you use it as a casing pipe. Would you need those huge rigs or huge trucks to carry them and destroy the environment on the way? So this is, and also the risk. Okay, so this come. So I'm listing here the main benefits of uh, carbon fiber over steel: corrosion resistance, strength to weight ratio. Carbon fiber is typically 20 times stronger than steel for its equivalent weight. It is very light. So if you take the same weight, that will make it thicker, then it will be 20 times stronger. Okay. So this is just a matter of comparisons. You don't have to make it thicker. And broadly speaking, anything you can do with steel, you can do with carbon fiber, and I believe in a better way. Okay. So this is the next big idea. And this is just a follow-up to that, that for stress control, it's good, and a stress environment, CO2 environment, and H2O environment. Then I have put here a red bar. Why? That something is coming here. So this is a chart about hydrogen permeation. Permeation means that hydrogen finds permeability inside steel, like helium, a little bit of carbon dioxide also, and methane. So this is the table over here. So hydrogen is the smallest, so it has the highest permeability through different various common gases through 100 micrometer crystalline peak film. This peak film, you see, you have carbon. So this is the main thing now for future, which is a kind of thermoplastic, like Teflon. Teflon we use a very thin. So take it, and this is more than that. It can, with just a high temperature, and then this amount it permits. Hydrogen is always high, but it is much higher in steel. Okay, they are showing the advantage. But that thermoplastic is not very strong, so they wrap it within carbon fiber. Carbon fiber is very strong. That's why layer upon the layer, the thermoplastic like Teflon, which is weak mechanical strength wise, but good in you know is a good preventer in terms of allowing hydrogen to escape through it. Of course, if we make it thicker than this is just an index as a standard. You don't make a pipe of only 100 micrometer. No, you don't do that. You put several layers. So it is called additive manufacturing, and then you protect it, from inside and outside with carbon fiber, which is very strong, and that's why it calls composite. Carbon fiber reinforced. PEEK is a organic name, so let's call it thermoplastic. Was it? The whole thing comes over here. So they are using, to create those offshore lines, oil collections to do tankers, to the platforms. They call it those riser connections with this pipe. Okay, so you can use them also in, let's say, coil tubing drilling with steel pipe. Imagine this kind of carbon fiber reinforced thermoplastic composite pipe. It's much more flexible than steel, and it is much lighter, and it is stronger. You'll have just like driving a 10-ton truck versus a Porsche car. Okay, so using steel coil tubing for coil tubing drilling or for stimulation jobs versus using this kind of carbon fiber reinforced thermoplastic composites. It will be just like driving a Porsche car. All right. Now, there's that company took a survey among the oil and gas companies that are you ready to use it? Now, as you see, the more and more people are saying yes in every count, but you'll see also some no. And you know who are those no's? The old dogs. You cannot teach them a new trick. The young generations, young engineers are and better educated than the old ones. Of course, no offense, because but those who don't learn for the rest of their life, they become old dogs. And this is the thing. So I'll not go beyond that. So this is my last slide. So I want to now recap both day one and day two. Day one, we talked about these huge problems unsolved for the last 120 years since to 1901, 100 years. Oh my God. Yeah, 120, right? 1900, 2000, yeah, 120 years. I'm right. So still it's going on, cry, 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 and lie, lie, lie. And the oil and gas industry and the academia, they are not paying attention for whatever, no problem, no complaint. The good thing is that we have done something about it, and that kissing is the system. And I would like you to see it develop and deploy the system. You are young, and today's day two, we talked about metal to metal and also went beyond that composite. Okay, so this is not M3M, this is M2M. So you can improve M2M. So the next thing that I can see now, maybe you can find if there is something more. I have done lots of browsing, but I find only that this carbon fiber reinforced, carbon fiber reinforced thermoplastic composite. It's a long term, they make short, but I'm also memorizing along with you this word. And this will help even the new wells. And I've suggested casing seals, with bismuth metal. At least it will do a much better job, in preventing this new well from, and this is which company? Not dad and mom company, ExxonMobil, XOM, and in America. And which year? Just 2 years ago. All right. So it's a burning problem. It burns my heart because at heart I am an engineer. I'm a petroleum engineer, and I think we can do things in a much better way. Okay, let's do it together. And this question, someone asked me 2 days ago on LinkedIn. I have answered. Question was, why unconventional fracking are more harmful in causing methane leakage from wells? I've given it in details to you, so I'll not go through it. You go through it. I have given answers. Some people have liked it, but if you find that I'm missing something, please respond to me. I'll appreciate that. Dr. Awal, you have forgotten this or that, whatever. So I have all put my reasons. It is my own. I just took my mobile and did finish with spelling mistakes. And yesterday, I thought I should share with all of you. So I've shared it, all of them, and including this and this. That is the end of the main presentation today, plus what was the afterburner, last few slides. You will read that, please. I'll ask questions to young generations and the old ones and more knowledgeous ones. Obviously, I'm still learning. So please put your feedback on the last 4 slides, why I believe or why scientists, they postulate that unconventional resource, shale gas, which includes massive hydrofracturing, is creating more problem in terms of casing vent of methane gas plus gas migration. Okay, and this is a prelude to tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll show this. This is from Texas Tech College of Engineering website, which was published in 2010, February 12 exactly. So I'll also give that a link. All my links are gone because I'm no longer Texas Tech faculty since 2013. So I had beautiful sites about describing this plasma blasting. I changed it because someone suggested don't use blasting. If people get terrified. So I use plasma shock effecting, which is the real truth, more a better truth, and physically speaking. So 2010, and I think this is my picture was when I left Saudi Arabia and Research Institute, King Fahd University. I had certainly more hairs, and maybe I look more handsome. I don't know. You tell me. So I had a wonderful facilities. I got offer from Montana Tech. I got offer from Texas Tech, and Texas Tech had a famous facility, which I thought, this is the dream place. And Professor Magne Christensen, who established this wonderful center called Pulse Power and Power Electronics. It is, they do all this high-tech research for US defense. So in the center, non-US citizens are not allowed. He took me personally to show because after he learned my ideas, and then he helped me to build my prototype. I'll show you tomorrow the prototype I built, how I did experiment. All those things are not published. For many reasons, I didn't publish, and I'll tell you tomorrow. But main thing is not the story. What is inside that? I published a thesis, master thesis in 2010, but we kept it locked on embargo for 5 years because it has so much IP. But that IP was the tip of the iceberg. Tomorrow, I'll show you the whole iceberg. Why? So that you can pick up, plus I'll add how I have advanced that so that you can make a field prototype. If you are from a company, you propose it. I know ExxonMobil is trying its best to do that, and I'll tell that story also tomorrow. So tomorrow will be really the climax, and these are all interconnected. And this is, basically my humble effort to give the world, with your ideas added, a better system, a more rocket science-like things, and clinical precision, and not harmful at all. While we want some amount of reasonable fracking and get more oil or gas, which ultimately will convert, hopefully in the next 20 years' time, into hydrogen inside the reservoir itself. It's a very low cost. In my estimate, I did it again and again because two of my students who were at Texas Tech 2010, they are now company vice presidents, but not big, small companies. They came to know I have come back from American University of Russell Khaimah, and then COVID. They said, Professor Awal, what happened to that invention? And I told them the story, and they came forward. So they appointed me for some time to develop the field prototype, letter of intent signed, everything, non-disclosure agreement. But because of their financial constraints, especially before the election in November in the US, they said they apologized that they put it on hold. And then I said, it has been on hold for quite some time, at least 2015, when I removed the embargo and I gave this whole information, the thesis, to Texas Tech professors, and they have done some good work after that. But unfortunately, since I was not involved, they have stayed at the same level which I did in 2010, and even less, because that thesis was tip of the iceberg. So they have used the tip of the iceberg and have reproduced the work partially, which is expected. So, but tomorrow I'm to reveal everything, the rest of the iceberg, plus what I have done in the last year. It was very productive. The whole field prototype is ready, and I'll share the concept as much as possible in the time frame. And those who get convinced or interested or whatever can connect me. I'll not charge any money from you. I'll help you develop. I want you to see and do good things in the context of environmentally conscious petroleum engineering, which should not continue with the name of petroleum engineering. I call it geoenergy now. Okay, geoenergy, and University of Aberdeen is a bright example. The master's program. My idea is it should get started from undergrad. If the whole curriculum is ready, that's a different thing. But I'm telling you that curriculum I have prepared for that. All right. And my company, it's not company, it's a one-man show. That's my identity. Asan Energy Services. I am here to give all the productivity that I have generated so far to share with you. Maybe 99% will be free. Okay. So, and all right. And that's it. So with that, I'd take your leave with this last slide. This is a permanent reminder. This is not a good thing. This is the question. It bugged me in 1983 when I joined ONGC. It's a ONGC, Oil and Natural Gas Corporation, in India. 83 to 85 I served 40 years. And I really learned about well completions. And what I learned, I employed that thing to develop the immediate Macondo well control without those huge things, And I submitted that idea when I got an opening because of pressure from government, the U.S. federal government, and and I have done some more work yesterday because of the beautiful question you asked, one of you. I'd like to know who asked the question, and I ignited my mind again to refine that idea of 2010 that I advanced for that government solidization or whatever you call it, and and I'm very excited. But tomorrow may not be time, but day after tomorrow definitely. And please don't miss this opportunity to hear from me and take it from me. And I'll be with you as you keep going. Okay. Thank you very much for your attention. With this, I hand over the microphone to my good student, Asma Shendi. She is a petroleum engineer now. I hope she gets also ignited and the oil industry comes forward, or before that, I believe she should follow a master's. So Marietta College will be a good place for her. We have two bright professors, Professor Ahmed and also Professor, I suddenly forget, Rakib, Professor Rakib. And so please, professors, make some arrangement. I'm recommending take her. She has very good brain, very good problem solver, and she'll not disappoint you. She'll do something good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Awal, for this kind word. Thank you, Professor Awal. It was a great session as usual, and this reminds me of old days. We have collected some questions. Hopefully, we can answer as much as we can.
Sure, ready.
First question, if the pressure of the formation fluid is too high, the flapper of SCSSV handle it?
That flapper in the subsurface safety valve?
Yeah.
Yes.
Will handle it or not?
Any pressure. Why? Because I operated that myself in Bombay High offshore, and our ONGC engineers, some of them were from my school, Engineering School of Mines. They are very, doing public things, but they do marvel in the field, and that's why Bombay High has been one of the safest place for the 600,000 barrels per day in those days, 1983, 80, 83, 85. And they found that before the valve gets closed, because it is spring loaded, it is designed to withstand the pressure 20,000 psi, no problem. But when you open it, since there is a high pressure from below, right? So you need to balance it from top. So closing is no problem. It is spring. As soon as hydraulic pressure goes up, it closes. And the pressure from below only helps close it better. There is a valve seat. Against the valve seat, this flapper is pressed like this. The more pressure, the better it is. Of course, it is the material, special, special material, very strong material, so that it doesn't break, So now when you open it, now you have to open against that high pressure. So what they did, they said, just we have the emergency shutdown, this fire against fire. There is a pump in the offshore platform, very huge investment. So we start the fire pump, and that water we fill the whole tubing, 1,000 feet of it. The hydrostatic head pressure, it helps to balance, not completely balance, but most of it from below. And then we start a hand pump to again put this hydraulic pressure to open the valve. And it was around 500 psi or so. So if the pressure is from below is much higher, then you will need more pressure. But this hand pump can give us 10,000 to 15,000 psi. So no problem. Thank you. It's a good question. Next.
Second question. How would BISN react to the expansion of casing over a period of time, or even the shifting of formation over time?
What is the first part again, please?
How would BISN react to the expansion of casing over a period of time, or even the shifting of formation over time?
I think I had some problem in hearing because of transmission. First two, three
Uh,
words,
yeah.
key word.
How would BISN react to the expansion of
Oh,
casing over a
BISN.
period of time?
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I got it now. Yeah,
Mm.
BISN, right? Okay. Now,
Yes.
BISN, it becomes a seal. It is released from bismuth oxide in the tool that is sent down on wireline tool. Okay. It goes and they ignite the same sort of principle as thermite. A reaction begins and everything melts, and the bismuth is heavy. It goes down. And wherever it needs to go. And then within maybe half an hour, it cools off and it becomes solid. When it becomes solid, it expands. So which means it gives a really better sealing. Now, if there's pressure from either side, this is the seal. Let's say this is the bismuth seal, BISN seal. We have casing here, we have casing here, let's say. The more pressure from either side, better it is. Okay. And if you mean the pressure from below, oh, no problem, because the bond not still, the of the my casing. Can you see it? Okay. And this is bismuth. So they make a very fine. It is not what I say. It's not it does not form at the interface an alloy, as far as I know. Since it is from molten state, so there is no gap. There is no gap. And the pressure from below, okay, and from above, there is maybe the cement already put, they put in such a way. So it will help compress more. So metal, it is heavier than steel, stronger, and higher pressure from below or from side, it will only help perform better as a seal, okay, BISN. I think that's what the question uh, wanted, if I am right.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Awal. The next question. The technology of using composite pipes more expensive than the steel. So my question is that if we can use mixed string, for example, we use carbon fiber only in HPHT zones.
Yes, that is what is ideal, high pressure, high temperature, but that is not enough. Put something bad, hydrogen sulfide, okay? So high pressure, high temperature, sour gas, that's where this particular, there are different thermoplastics. This particular thermoplastic is called PEEK, poly something, all those, last one is ketone or something. So short form is PEEK. So carbon fiber supporting, this stuff, this thermoplastic, which is called PEEK, and it can withstand high pressure, H2S, no problem, and carbon dioxide, no problem. Oil gas is already there. So it is and high pressure and high temperature. Remember, this is called thermoplastic. They can withstand temperature, let's say Teflon, 500 to 600 degrees Celsius. So in the oil well, we will never have that kind of a gas problem. Geothermal well, we have to see, even geothermal 500 degrees Celsius, still thermoplastic is good. Okay.
Okay, and the last question, is shale gas affects consumer water pollution?
Yes, groundwater.
Yeah, shale
Yeah,
gas affects
yes, yes,
consumer
yeah,
water pollution.
exactly. So suppose I'm the I don't mean the private company for many reasons. Suppose I'm a national oil company, Saudi Aramco or ONGC or a smaller one, but the government has signed the Paris Convention. Government says, Dr. Awal, you are the CEO or Chief Technical Officer. So do the best thing. The first thing I'll do, I'll go for a project, make casing pipe, the surface casing one especially, out of this carbon fiber reinforced thermoplastic composite. Make it and put it so, and it will be the best bet. And what I put behind it, I have to put some kind of filler, either put the API cement or I have to put geopolymer. I'll put geopolymer and I'll put a number of bismuth seals in the annulus space. Bingo. Good question. I love it.
Thank you, Prof. Awal. It was a
Uh-huh.
pleasure to have you with us. And thank you all. The session will be uploaded to BioPetro YouTube channel. And don't forget to solve the quiz on Google Classroom. Best of luck and thank you again.
Thank you. Bye bye. Good
Thank you.
night.
Bye
And
bye.
have a good day wherever you are. And
Thank
please
you.
come back tomorrow.